All right, I'm doing some walkthrough stuff for the Spring Major. This is the brand spanking new Koh Hong Resort holes, and this is hole number one. So this is the first thing we're going to be looking at when we walk into the tournament. So I am already just like first impressions of the hole. I'm not a fan of this. Now you may have to use this from the upper divisions, but if you're going to use this, you're going to have to bring your secondary clubs are going to have to be big backspin clubs so that you can get over the sand and try and backspin it in as opposed to bouncing over the sand. I'm not a big fan of putting traps into play. And that's the problem with this side over here is that you either put the traps into play and do a bounce over, or you bring big backspin clubs so that you can backspin onto the green. So if I'm going from this direction, and we'll count that as, that could be shot number three, I'm definitely going to bring backspin clubs. Another thing that I saw, I played this hole twice, and something I saw was people shooting out into this area here. And this is a nice little look. And you're going to be in your short iron range, or depending on what ball you bring, you may be in your minimum or your maximum wedge range. But I think you're going to be in your short iron range from out there. What I did in this demo was this is the very first time I ever got on this hole, and I wanted to see if I could land out here and get enough curl with a berserker ball to bring it back towards the green. And I haven't. This will be a good for me to go back and watch the video to see where I landed out here. Now I didn't hit the shot perfect, so it wasn't great. But the deal is with an extra mile level 8, it doesn't have quite enough curl. I think, if you draw the line from the tee box to the pin, it's going like this. And so when we get out here into this area, we're heading off in this, and I don't think that the extra mile has enough curl to bring it back. It might, but I mean, the deal is it might in only like one little spot. So you may not be able to replicate this over and over again. And the whole deal is to find a spot out here. When I'm practicing brand new holes, my first deal is to see what's possible and what I'm looking at, like what my competition might be able to do. I don't have a level 4 Apocalypse in my Ricky account. So I don't have it in any of my accounts other than my main Masters account. So the deal is I don't know that I can get around that bend. And I'm going to watch the video to see kind of what the deal is, but it's possible to get over there in one. And what it may be is a max overpower hook shot. Instead of trying to get out here, you're trying to get out here. And find a spot out here in the trees to do that same shot. To try and move yourself forward in this neck. Or get yourself up here where you just come off. So I'm going to work on this hole, because the reality is that I'm going to continue to work on doing some kind of a trick shot to see if I can get on in one. This is definitely a hole where if it's possible to reach in one, you have to continue to work that math. But we have to look at what our secondary shot is. If we don't ever get it, we got to have something to fall back on. So our fallback areas are here or out here. And I will tell you from what I saw, I'll have to get on this hole more than the one or two times that I've been on it. I'll have to get on this hole to see whether or not it's, if this is like a super repeatable shot. You don't have to do any overpower. You bring the right ball, you just bam, 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 one top spin, and you stop the deal. Or if laying up right out here and having this shot right here, this is the most open. But this one up here is a really beautiful shot. This is going to take backspin clubs. And anytime you say the word backspin, it's almost like saying the word curl. You'll be super close all the time. But it does diminish, it lowers your chances. So like if you think with like the perfect shot out here, you got a pretty decent shot with your Hornet, especially in minimum club. That would definitely be worth going for it to get my Hornet every single time in minimum club. Sometimes I may make this shot here and make it over, and it gives me a super easy eagle. But sometimes I end up in the rough, and so it would be better to have the absolute consistent eagle shot every single time if getting out into this area was the way to do it. And I think that getting out here is the way. It's just a question of whether or not you can get out there without having to put too much of this into play. I think my red line with my extra mile with a Berserker was right there in that corner. So I mean, with a mortal ball like a 0 power ball, it's probably somewhere back in this area. So you're trying to make from the tee box, you're trying to make an S curve to get up into this area. So anytime you have to incorporate those S curves, you know, what I'm going to be looking for is wherever my red line is down here, if I can be a couple rings off of this. I always like to be at least a couple rings off of surfaces when there's transitions. So like where that puts me, and if I put side spin on it, if I can get the side spin to work me this way, if I could end up out right in this area right here, and that was still long iron range, and it was super easy to get there with a quarterback, and this is definitely quarterback territory, because you want the most accurate. I mean, with all of this movement down here and the way that these are narrow like this, and how it, you know, if you head off in this direction right here, you're going to end up in that rough. And the transitional line between these two sand traps, you know, it's right there even with each other. So if you shoot through the gap, then you immediately encounter that peninsula. And so it narrows up the deepest part of it. It's way out here, and you're never going to get all the way around that unless you could start off here and then you were trying to curl it in. But if you could get that shot, you might as well go for this shot. So I used the 5 power ball. That was my first look at it. As I get this hole, I'll post some more videos on this. But this hole is definitely a hole that I'm going to continue. I'm going to look at this shot to see what it takes and write those numbers down. And this is the shot that I would recommend that we look at seriously because of just the view, and we can get into our short iron range. When out here, we're going to definitely be in our long iron range. But I'm going to continue to go for this other shot to see if I can work it out. And if I can work it out, I'll continue to post those. So if I can figure out a way to get us up there where we're close on one shot, that's much better. So here's the video. Kung Ho Resort, hole 1, par 4. See if I played this hole. I've only played a few of the holes, and I've only played them like once or twice. I've never played this hole. I think you could probably, if you brought out a 5 power ball, you could probably go for it in 1. There's enough of a runway up there and enough of a break. Nice shot. Nice shot. Let's see what the deal is here. Let's see if with a 5 power ball we can get over. We can, but I don't think we can make that spin. I don't think we can make it over to there. This has got a lot of side spin on it. It'll be close. Go get him. We can. That is definitely where an Apocalypse would come in handy, like a level 4, level 5 Apocalypse. You can get all that curl about the same distance as a maxed out extra mile. Get a lot more curl on it. Thor's Hammer 5 would probably work. I'm not sure if you get any more curl. I think it's probably about the same. But an Apocalypse, you definitely get more curl. If you got an Apocalypse. I don't have an Apocalypse. I have one, but it's like level 1. I just got it here. I've been playing forever since the game came out, and just like literally just got an Apocalypse. So my other clubs are so far advanced over it that it's not usable right now unless it gets to level 4 or 5. And it'll take forever playing in the rookie stuff to get it to level 4 or 5. Okay, that one backspin on a Spitfire is a ton of backspin. So you can go at it just as closely with that backspin as you could with any other club. where I'm at right here. I'm pretty freaking close. Isn't it perfect? Give myself a shot right there. Shot. Didn't quite adjust out enough for the wind. Should have been twice that much. Oh, I can't believe I'm still in it. Figured my opponent had to outright win that, wasn't paying attention. I'm going for the eagle on this par 4. All right, that was hole 1, par 4 of the Kung Hong Resorts. Let's go back and look at that one more time now that we've seen the hole. So just kind of watching it where I landed out here, I had plenty of room to the right. And where I ended up out here in the sand, I'm not sure if I could have got around. I think my first bounce, I would have bounced somewhere out in this area. I might have been able to clear out or dribble out into the green right there, into the fairway. I mean, it's possible that that shot could make it. I'll have to go back a couple more times and just like rewind. Watch this spot right here. Watch where the landing zone is and how much room you have. And go back and look where I set it up. I'm always trying to set up when I'm coming into areas like this. I know sometimes it looks like I'm way out here, but I'm anticipating what the curl's going to do to the shot. But if you look out here, you're like, hey man, you could cut out some of that distance and just move it closer, like move one ring in, and you'd be closer there. And it changes it out here quite a bit because if you look at the fulcrum point from where you're at down here to where you're at looking at here, and you're trying to achieve this arc. So you're really, here's the fairway, and you're trying to get from this point here to this point here, somewhere out in that fairway, or you're trying to bounce over, get that bounce that's right here to bounce over that deal to dribble out into this clear area right here in the front. But anywhere out here in the front is going to get you within your rapier range or your wedge range, Firefly, rapier, Endbringer, whatever it is that you bring. So looking at this area right here and where it bounces, and then going back and looking at how many rings, I always like to leave 2 rings because that means you can hit it great on the inside and still be going in a forward direction and hit the fairway, as opposed to hitting the rough and ending up back here in the rough. I mean, it's not that you can't make it from back here in the rough, but if you're back here in the rough, I'd much rather just lay up right here every time and take that shot with a long iron or whatever it happens to be than to ever end up in the rough. I mean, the way that you stay consistent at this game is to figure out what you can achieve with your clubs, and if your spot is that's the best that you can do, and you can get that every single time, then get to that spot and then work on this shot. Work on this shot. Try and hit it perfect so you can see like, okay, hey, I did a wind adjustment and the ball still ended up to the right. It's like dialing in artillery. I did a wind adjustment and it landed to the right, so so what does that mean? That means I need to add on some wind. So if it was a 2-6 wind and you went to the right and the wind was going in this direction, so you can dial your stuff in. But I'm going to keep trying this shot. I'm going to keep trying to work this deal. I'm going to blow a few balls here trying to figure this out, because this is a hole that if you can get on a hole on a par 4 and 1, you have to figure out if there's a way. If there isn't a way, there isn't a way. But I got to figure that out. All right, that was hole number 1, par 4 of the Spring Major, the 2019 Spring Major. Thanks for watching.